With highly sophisticated eyes, it seeks out insects. Able to swivel independently, they enable the chameleon to look both in front and behind at the same time. They see the world both three-dimensionally and telescopically. Jerky movements conceal its passage, becoming part of the swaying motion of the leaves. But such a disguise can get the chameleon only so far. Once it has an insect in its sight, it employs the weapon that sets it apart from all other reptiles, a javelin-like tongue. Most of the tongue is a long tube of muscle. Stored in a coil in the base of the mouth, the muscle rests against a hard, bony spike. By contracting the muscle, the tongue shoots out at speeds of up to 1/16th of a second, and with extraordinary accuracy. With a sticky knob at the end, prey almost half its own weight sticks like glue. It is an impressive modification of animal physiology, designed to secure prey that always seems to be just out of reach. Beneath the sands of the tropical regions of the world, another creature uses a projectile as its primary weapon. Surprisingly, it's a simple snail, yet its weapon is as effective as a venom-loaded harpoon. The geographer's cone shell is one of the most beautifully adorned of all the cones. Yet while its appearance is attractive, its weapon is deadly. By day, the cone shell simply becomes part of the rubble of the coral reef floor, its fleshy body safely tucked into its shell. But at night, when colours become muted and most fish are sleeping, it becomes an active hunter. It slithers fluidly through the sandy ocean floor, looking much like the many harmless shellfish that are also active by night. Many cone shells feed on simple worms and have no need for venom or a projectile weapon to secure their prey. But the geographer's cone feeds on fast-moving fish. Using a siphon which extrudes from its fleshy body, it tastes chemicals in the water, detecting fish from some distance away. Once a fish of edible size has been located, the cone slowly launches its orange proboscis, the projectile armed with a minute venom-loaded tooth at its tip. Amazingly, the unsuspecting fish sits motionless as the cone probes around. Like a harpoon, the tooth is barbed at the end. struggles are short-lived, for the venom paralyzes within seconds. The cone dilates its fleshy mouth and swallows the fish whole. The cone shell's venom is so potent that it is also deadly to humans. Despite this, other than its prey, few other creatures become victims of the cone's deadly projectile, for it is an offensive weapon. When threatened, the cone merely draws itself back into its protective shell. One creature uses a projectile weapon that is not part of its body, but part of their environment. Within the rivers and streams throughout the tropics, there lives an animal that has a projectile weapon as sophisticated as a high-powered rifle. While most fish feed on what lives in the water, the archerfish can attack those that linger above the surface. They have successfully extended their hunting grounds, not by leaping out of the water, but by firing water bullets at insects from below. Like an underwater sniper, they are not conspicuous to their targets. Even as they approach within shooting range, their movements are masked by the reflections on the water's surface. When preparing to fire, they press their flexible tongues against a groove on the roof of their steeply pitched mouths. This forms the directional barrel of their pistol. The rapid compression of their gills provides the explosive force to launch their high-powered water bullets at an impressive 60 meters per second. But their modified mouths alone are not enough to ensure an accurate aim. Because they always shoot from underwater, they must first solve a complex problem of physics. Where the target appears to be may not actually be where it is. And so their eyes have become a vital component of their weapon, able to correct for the way light bends as it enters the water. An unrivaled sharpshooter, at distances of less than a metre, their aim is invariably lethal. Unique in the animal kingdom, the archerfish has an innovative weapon of rare and unparalleled design. The echidna is a creature that appears very well protected, and it is. It has a back full of very sharp quills, but this is a defensive weapon. When it comes to offensive attack, the echidna's weapon is in its mouth. Found only in Australia and Papua New Guinea, it is one of a handful of animals, including aardvarks and anteaters, that feed exclusively on social insects. Teeth are useless weapons against such tiny prey, so in the echidna they have disappeared. Instead, they have evolved a highly specialised projectile tongue to lap up ants and termites. Its sensitive snout has the ability to detect their movements as tiny electrical impulses. But its prey too have their own defences. An angry swarm of ants armed with stings and biting mandibles are a force to be reckoned with. So, echidnas specialise in less formidable insects, especially termites, of which Australia has over 200 different species. Some build fortresses to protect themselves from the elements and from predators. In Australia's top end, they may tower over 7 metres. Inside, millions of termites are hidden away in pencil-thin twisting galleries. The echidna's challenge is accessing them. Its first line of attack is its powerful front legs, armed with shovel-like claws which can rip through the earthen walls. Now its remarkable projectile weapon comes into play. As long as its own body, it has phenomenal flexibility, able to navigate the labyrinth with ease, even folding backwards on itself. Termites caught in its sticky mucus are ground between horny pads in its mouth. The echidna's projectile tongue gives it access to a plentiful and consistent supply of food. Echidnas, while not great in number, are widespread, have ancient lineage and live a long life, a legacy of the effectiveness of their weaponry.
Well, whether they be sticky webs, pit traps, projectile tongues or water bullets, animal weapons are undeniably ingenious in their design. It's extraordinary to think that a simple spider could construct a substance with the tensile strength of steel, or that a humble fish could solve a complex problem of physics. But they do. That's all for this episode of